How about a drawing? Sure. Okay. Everybody get their card in, win some money? What we got for $10? Who is it?
April Detman.
Okay. $20.
Beth Hughes.
All right. $30.
Carol Miller.
All right. $40.
Dee Dee Taylor.
All right, Dee Dee. $50. Yeah, go ahead.
Shaheen Shakiri.
Shanine. That's 50. This is $75.
Fred Posey.
All right, Fred. And $100 goes to
Kathy Miller.
Kathy Miller. Give them all a big hand. Okay, do we have any vendors over here that want to raise your hand real quick? Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Good. Great. Good. Is that it? Okay, give me a big hand. Okay, Tarrant Roofing, you all come up here. Are you giving us these sleeping bags? Oh my gosh. How many you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sleeping bags. Give me a big hand. For the homeless. Okay, good. And thanks for the breakfast. Great. Okay.
Well, I'm Lacey Stevens with Tarrant Roofing. How many have seen our trucks driving around the area? Yes. Well, we have 70 reps that across the DFW Metroplex, which means we can get out to you guys same day if you call before noon. That's huge right now in your crunch time if you're trying to get through option period. Keep that in mind. If you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. So I challenge you today to step out of your comfort zone and do something different. Maybe if you haven't tried Tarrant Roofing, next time if you need a free home roof inspection, please give us a chance to earn your business. And we have our door hangers right here. If you need some, there's some on the back table. I'm sorry, what?
You don't want to say anything?
Deshay?
You just want...
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Well, thank y'all again for letting us bring breakfast to you guys, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Here, Dave, there's a microphone for you. All right. Do you want to announce anything, Cindy? Who can? Tina, come on. Let's talk about our big event coming up. I didn't see you back there. You wasn't standing up.
I'm always back there. Good morning, everyone. You've probably heard we have a big event here on October 1st. We are doing a big cookout fundraiser for Philip's Wish, and that will be the kickoff to start gathering sleeping bags and pantry goods, so you can bring those items. And on top of that, we'll have a cookout. Dave's going to cook for us all again. We all wait for that. And so that is a minimum of $15 donation if you would like to have lunch with us. And then we are having a big auction, and our auctioneer is Myers Jackson. And
Myers Jackson.
so you know that's going to be fun. Yes. So I would come just for that. Vendors, we really need your help. We need your support. If you could bring an auction item, the minimum value is $25, and it can be whatever you want. It could be more, but a minimum of $25, please. And lunch will start at 11:30. And then we will have the auction shortly after. So vendors, we need you not only to come and support, but to bring those donation items. And please bring them early, because Myers is going to put them on his website. So the sooner we can get those and start getting bids on that, the better. And something else.
Something else?
Something else.
Well, we're going to have a good time. We're going to raise a lot of money for the homeless. We're going to start kicking it off October the 1st
Yes.
at our fundraiser drive.
I remembered what it was.
Okay.
So not only do we want you to come and have lunch with us and bring those auction items, but we need people bidding on those auction items. So please come and bring your team, and let's all bid on those items and have a great turnout and raise a lot of money for Cindy and Philip's Wish and the people that are less fortunate and really need our help. Thank you.
And if they have any friends that want to donate, they can donate, right?
Yes. If you
Okay.
have any questions, please contact Ashley, or I can help you with it.
Yeah.
Diane Vanderweel, really any of us. But if you need ideas on auction items, please let me know. You can bring those items here. If you could put a value on it so we know what it's worth, and then put a card on it, your business card, so that we know who donated the item, and they will definitely call that out during the auction. So if you have any questions, let us know. Hope
All
that
right.
you all make it.
All right. Thank you, Tina. Give her a big hand. Super job. Linda, you want to go over training real quick? Okay. Go. Okay.
So, hello. We have some people that's gone through Linda's training, which we know is dynamic, but she's not here today. So, if they're here, would you just come up so we can recognize you? I think it's Shanaz Gabier. Gabier.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for going to training. Is Pamela Harrison here? No. How about Clay Ward? Well, when you see him, congratulate him.
All right. Give him a big hand. Super job. Kiefer Horton, come on up here, okay?
Howdy, 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 folks. How y'all doing today?
Who are you with?
I'm D.R. Horton.
Oh, okay.
Kiefer. Yeah, we are
Yeah.
America's builder.
keep that microphone up there so they can hear you.
Yes, we are America's builder. Can anybody tell us where we were founded out of?
Arkansas?
Texas. There he is right there. I got something for you. Come on up here and grab this. What is your name? Pete. Pete, here you go.
Huh?
That's right, Arlington, Texas. Or actually, Fort Worth, where West meets Texas, right?
No.
What do they say about Fort Worth? However, we've
Pull
got
the microphone up.
another thing is, can anybody else in here tell me how you earn 5% commission throughout the year with D.R. Horton? Yeah, or better, who's the number one selling agent for D.R. Horton in this place? Oh, that's right. Who said that first? All right. No, but for real, if you sell 4 homes in a consecutive year starting January 1st to the end of December, you get 5% for the remaining homes you're going to sell throughout the year. Reason I'm here is I want to share some information about the best home prices I feel like are in DFW Metroplex, found in Crowley, Texas. You're looking at $189,990 for 1450 square foot, looking at $129 a square foot, down to 2,800 square foot, 5-bedroom, 3-bath, $85 a foot for a brand new home. So come check us out, look online, and if I could help you, please let me know.
Well, let me tell you what, D.R. Horton has been our favorite builder, and we've had a great relationship over the years. We appreciate all you do. You build a good quality home, and here, I hope all the agents this year at least get 4 sales. Okay? Absolutely. Puts money in the pocket, right?
Yeah, it's out there if you want it.
Okay. So what's the average price?
We started out I started out South Fork Estates pre-selling dirt home sites that we've never built before, so I'm selling just blueprints. And we started at $186,990. D.R. Horton, every 10 sales, we're going to increase that base price increase, creating equity for our homeowners. We're at $189,990. We're going to go to $190, 2 more sales. Missed 2 phone calls in this meeting, just the neighborhood. So it's not on MLS either, guys. So reach out to us, just share it, and stop on by, please. Just want to meet you.
So 5% of that is what? Maybe around $10,000 or something like that?
Yeah, it sure is.
Okay. So 5%, $10,000 of commissions, okay? Let's hear it for Kiefer, okay? Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
I know you want to say something, Steve.
Yeah, Kiefer, come back. You see this face? You see this face? This is a Horton face. The very next 2 of you that do a deal with him, he's going to call me when it closes, and I'll bump you up a trip to Vegas. So the next two of you that sell with him.
Are you going with them?
No, I can't afford it. I gotta no, the people I go with, man, I'm empty.
Okay, good.
But anyway, the next two of you that sell with Kiefer exclusively, he'll call me up when it closes, and I'll give you 3 days, 2 nights in Vegas.
All right. Great job. Thank you. Give him a big hand. Hey, Dave, come up here and tell us what's going on.
Well, good morning, everybody. There's a lot going on.
Okay, good.
There's a lot going on. I wanted to share a coaching tip that's come up the last couple of days with you. When you are asking for an appointment or asking for a signature or asking somebody to do something, what do most agents do?
Okay.
They upswing. Who's got teenagers besides me almost? I've got tweens. Call it up-talking. Okay? So why do people up-talk? Come on, why? Because they're uncertain of themselves, right? They don't know what they're talking about. Hey, Dad, can I have $20 for them all? So one of the things I've noticed is that even very professionally trained and experienced agents up-talk when you need to be the most confident. So I want you to learn to ask questions on a downswing. Is this the kind of representation you would like to have in the future? A downswing. Does that make sense? Can you hear the difference? An up talk, I'm sounding like, please let me come over because I don't have anything better to do. I'm just very not confident about what I'm talking about. But a downswing, it happened yesterday and it happened today because we've got a prospecting group going. 1 appointment yesterday, 2 appointments today. It's a good beginning. When you want to be confident, you want that appointment, you want that price decrease, you want them to accept that contract, don't ask for permission. Walk them through confidently, have a relaxed voice, and when you're asking a closing question, use a downswing. That's my tip for the day. That's one of the, actually, there's 16 other techniques that we use in the Sales Expert. It's still $97 if you want it. If you're not in it, you're working too hard because you're losing sales, you're missing appointments, you're missing opportunities to make sales. So I'm holding it for $97. If you want to sign up, I'll have sign-up sheets here. But even if, whatever you do, use that downswing. Be confident when you need to be.
Yeah, great job. And hey, Dave also was running, he's had some agents come in. I think yesterday you had what, 5 agents and they got 5 appointments, listing
7
appointments?
appointments.
7 appointments total with both of you. But anyway, I encourage all of you to come up here. These guys are going to be helping you get some appointments, get some listings, and because listings are what? No, come on. Listings are what? The name of the game. Come on. Boy, that's
Listings
timid.
are what?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Timid. Oh, my goodness.
If you're not doing listings, you're working way too hard.
Absolutely,
Stop.
absolutely. But anyway, we started this because we feel like that if you want to increase your production, you're going to learn something on how to do that with these guys. And
Well, wait, can I ask you, maybe
Sure.
they don't want to increase their production. Ask them who wants to increase their production.
who wants to increase their production?
Okay,
Well,
so
that's 90% of them.
guess what? We've got something called the 9 a.m. Club. Guess what time we start here? 9 a.m., right? 9 a.m., we go from 9 to 11, except for today, and we do a lot of coaching, a lot of training. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the secret to for sale by owner starting at 9 a.m. Then we're going to get on the phones at probably 9:20 tomorrow, all the way through 11 o'clock. Handouts, everything. We don't do food and drink. We do material and information here. Try it out. I was so proud of everybody that showed up yesterday and today because that's the way to increase your business and get a listing business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dustin, what do we got going here? What are we going to talk about
Well,
today?
now when I up talk, everybody's going to know that I'm
what
lying.
happened to
about-
Matt?
So we heard your
Matt
complaints.
quit?
Matt's not here today, so you get a break from him. So prayers have been answered. A little less Matt today. But yeah, no, we replaced Matt with Brittany today. Brittany Taylor's going to be here helping me do the presentation. We're talking about her
Great.
expertise, estate planning and probate.
Good. Here, I'll
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, I get to control the remote today. I'm not used to this power.
Awesome.
All right, Brittany, you go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Brittany Taylor. So I am an attorney with Schultz and Keller. I work over at the Independence Title Southlake office, but if you need me in Colleyville, Argyle, or Roanoke, I'm happy to meet you there too. My expertise is estate planning, so wills, trusts, probate, LLCs, and business.
Yeah, and what's your credential that very few people, what's your statistic?
Yep. So I also have my certified financial planner. So there are only 12 licensed attorneys in the state that also have that designation.
Yeah, so very smart person. She's going to make me look bad today, but that's okay. I'll just talk my way through it and pretend. There we go. All right. So starting with estate planning. So Brittany, why don't you tell us a little bit about estate planning and sort of how it works and what the different things we're looking for are?
Yeah, so an estate plan is a way to dispose of your assets. So a common misconception that I get a lot in my practice is people come in and they say, well, I only own a house, I have, a bank account, and that's the extent of my estate. Well, that's something you need to plan for, because if you don't plan, then the state decides what happens to your stuff, and I don't think many people like that. So these should be customized to your needs. I always encourage people to sit down with an attorney. Don't download something from the internet. Those are usually boilerplate. They may not take into account your specific circumstances. And so it's nice to be able to sit down and talk with someone about those things. So my consultations are all free. So if you ever need help or have questions, feel free to call us and set up a time to chat.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is the way that we operate as our business, right? This is an add-on service for you guys. It's not our primary business, right? So we're not going to be sitting there trying to upsell you, give you something you don't need, try to sell you, $5,000 trust, because a lot of times it's not necessary. And even on the real estate side, right, we see that sometimes. If somebody's home is in a trust and we need to get the paperwork and it's 400 pages and none of it makes sense and it doesn't even do what they want, but somebody spent a fortune on it, that's not uncommon. We see that a lot. So we try to make sure that we're giving you guys what you actually need, what your clients actually need, and not something that's upselling them just because we want to put more money in our pocket. It's simply just an addition to you guys, some benefit that we can add to you and your clients to make their lives better. Because like Brittany said, if you don't lay out how you want your property to be given away to your heirs, the state decides. And a lot of times that doesn't go the way that you want. We talk about that a little bit later, but a lot of times it doesn't go where you want, and a lot of times it doesn't go the place that you think it will common sense wise. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. All right. So yeah, all sorts of different things here. So you have all sorts of different options for you, right? You can get a will, you can get a trust, you can get powers of attorney, which I say a lot of times is more important than actually having a will in the state of Texas, right? We'll just give a quick example. But if you pass away, right, we said your property is going to be passed to somebody, right? The state says, if you die, this is who gets the property. They have laws that lay all that out. If something happens to you where you're incapacitated, if you have cognition issues, if you're in a coma, you're just injured and you can't go somewhere, there is no way for that to automatically happen, right? You think, well, his wife can just sign for him, or, his mom can just sign for him. That's not how it works. There's nothing that automatically happens. You have to get a guardianship from a court, which means you have to pay an attorney to go in front of a court, do a guardianship hearing. You have to then get approval to make all those decisions. So even if you get guardianship, every time you want to sell something or buy something or pay a bill, you have to go to the court and get permission from them, which to me, that means dollar signs. That means an attorney's making money off of you, and you can just get a power of attorney, which is about $100. So much easier. Directive to physicians, that basically tells them what you want to have happen. So you put in writing, rather than a medical power of attorney, which gives somebody the ability to make decisions on your behalf. Directive to physicians lets you put in there what you want to have happen if you want, the plug to be pulled, or if you want to be kept on life support, or whatever you want to have happen. Let me just tell you from experience, it's usually when you're in the hospital, it's a lot easier to have somebody have a piece of paper that says what you want, rather than putting that pressure on a family member to make that decision for you. So another big one there. HIPAA authorizations. This is a new one when that law came out. HIPAA is basically the Medical Privacy Act. You can't get anybody's medical information without explicit authorization. Well, if you have somebody who's a medical power of attorney for you, right, who's supposed to be making medical decisions on your behalf, how good of decisions do you think they're going to be making if they don't have the ability to see your medical records or talk to the doctor and get the information? They're not. So you're going to have to make sure that that's all included. Declaration of guardian for yourself or a minor child. So if something were to happen to you, or you have small children and you pass away, who takes care of those kids? You want to spell that out. You want to make sure that it goes to the right person, because sometimes it's not the family member that you want it to go to. beneficiary designations, so just making sure your stuff goes to the right people. I mean, that's just a handful of the things that need to be handled when you're talking about dealing with your estate and how to deal with those end of life decisions and things that Brittany can help you with. So, like she said, definitely want to sit down with you, talk to you, make sure that everything is tailored for you or your clients the way that you need to make sure that things are handled correctly.
Yep. And on that note, how many of you have kids in college? Do your kids have HIPAA authorizations?
Yeah, that's an interesting one too, because
So-
this is what I mean in general of it's not common sense law.
Yeah. So your kids are probably over the age of 18 now, which means they're legally adults. You can't call their doctors and get info from them.
Nope.
So have a HIPAA authorization. That way you can get info if you need it.
Yep, that's a big one. I've had a few parents that had kids go to college ask me for that. For medical power of attorney, one, because you don't have the right to just necessarily make decisions for your children. You have to get explicit authorization. So again, like I said, the law is not necessarily common sense in these areas, and I think people think that it is, and that's what burns them a lot of times.
Yep. So who needs estate planning? As I mentioned just a second ago, if you're over the age of 18, you have to do some planning. So whether that's just simple powers of attorney, medical power of attorney, HIPAA authorization, those are all at a minimum what you need. You probably also need a will. If you're married, you need it, especially if you have a blended family. So if it's a second marriage and there are kids from outside your marriage, it becomes extremely important to have your wishes written down. If you own property in multiple counties or multiple states, gotta have some planning done, because at that point you're looking at probate in 2 different states if you don't do something. So if you have specific bequests, so you really want your car to go to a certain child, or you have a baseball card collection, or some kind of heirloom that you're very adamant goes to a specific person, you want to make sure that's written in the will.
And the thing, sorry, I want to expand on that a
you're
little
good.
bit. You know, and the thing is if you work in this industry enough in the estate planning side of things, you may think, well, my kids know what I want to have happen. They know. I will tell you right now, and if you've dealt with this at all, people get very greedy and turn into mean people when it comes to money and assets. I've seen kids fighting each other after mom or dad have passed away, fighting each other over assets, and it ends up where, because the parents didn't put down in writing what they had to have, what they wanted to have happen, one of the kid gets, basically stripped of money they were supposed to get. It gets very ugly, and so you want to make sure that you have everything in writing and it's clear, because then the judge doesn't mess around with knowing how those things go. I have one story where the mom had put in her will, she goes, "It's my wish that the kids would share things equally," or it was my wish that so-and-so gets the car. Well, when you put, and this is why you need to talk to a professional, not just do it online, the judge ruled that when you put "it's my wish" or "I would hope," that's not definitive enough. You're not saying it goes to this child, and the judge basically said that it wasn't an actual effective bequest. So it ended up throwing the whole thing out. Just simple wording like that can change everything in these situations. So you really have to talk to a professional, because you'd hate to put your family in a position that's not as you had hoped. And my favorite example of specific bequests was one time it was actually a closing. I had to go over to a house. Mom had passed away, and the kids were selling the house, and they asked if I could come actually to the house to help sign all the paperwork, because they were all out of town. They had just come into town to do the sale. And they were kind of walking around the house, like looking at stuff, and I was kind of asking them what was going on. Well, and this is not an effective estate planning tool, but I thought it was kind of funny. She knew, I guess, she was getting older, and so time was going to come at some point, and she had, those little like colored dot stickers. She had assigned each kid a color and then just stuck the color on different things. So like blue was all Roger's stuff and yellow was all Sarah's stuff. And so she just stuck, like, on the back of the TV was like a blue sticker, on the car was a yellow sticker. Like that was her way of assigning who gets what. It won't hold up, but it was a good idea, I thought. I don't know. So yeah, make sure you talk to a professional. Make sure you get a more effective way of doing that.
Yep.
All right.
So
Yeah, make sure you make sure you can do everything you can to protect your assets while you're alive and for the beneficiaries after you pass.
Yeah.
It's the thing I always say. I think it was a Roger Ebert saying, you ask somebody if they're going to pass away, they say yes. If you ask them if it's going to be today, they say no. But eventually those two things are going to be true the same day, but we just never plan for it, right? We never expect it to be today. So you really need to take advantage of planning ahead of time. I know it's not fun. I know a lot of people freak out when it comes to estate planning, and a lot of people think that if they just don't do it, nothing bad will happen to them. I've heard that before, that like they feel like if they do a will, then it's like giving them permission to die or something like that. So they get really freaked out. I've had people come in and say, the husband will look at me and he'll go, look, she's going to be here in a minute. Just sign everything and don't say a word because she's going to start crying. And it's like, okay, we can do that. We can do things like that to help them out.
Yep. And I will just say this. It is more expensive to not plan than it is to plan.
Yeah, just for a pure example, your filing fees to do a probate when you don't have a will are how much more? It's like $300 or $400 more.
It's almost double.
Yeah, it's almost double the cost to just do the filing fees when you don't have a will. So that right there covers the cost a lot of times of at least getting a will done.
Yep.
So just know you're actually saving yourself money by taking care of these things. Make sure your wishes are carried out. Like I said, it's not common sense who gets everything, right? A lot of people assume, well, it all goes to my wife or it all goes to my kids. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You really need to be careful about making those assumptions. We all know the saying about what assuming does. I will not say it because I'll get in trouble. But it's avoiding additional problems too. Yeah. Yeah. Your will ends up overriding it. So whatever you put in writing ends up being what your wishes are. So if you have a will that says everything goes to the kids and you get married, it still goes to the kids. The will's still effective. The only way that I'll say it's reversed is if you get a will while married and then get divorced, they will for a time period assume basically it's kind of morbid. They treat the ex-spouse as if they're deceased. So you don't end up where like you get divorced on Tuesday and then on Thursday you die and your ex-spouse gets everything anyway because you left it to a will accidentally. They treat them as if they've passed away. So they knew that people didn't want to do that. So that is an effective way to but you always want to get things rewritten, want to get things updated, because any sort of ambiguity or non-clarity for the judge to have to deal with, they don't like. I don't think people know this, but judges can be sued. You can sue a judge for their decision making. Right? So whenever you talk to judges, a lot of times they're very risk adverse because they don't want to be sued. So we always tell the story about one time I was probating a will. It was from California, but the lady had moved here. And I went to the judge and I said, Judge, here's the law that says if a will is effective in another state, it's effective here in Texas. Here's the California law that says what we have to have an effective will. Here's the will. Here's all the things that it meets. It is effective. So we'd like to go ahead and probate. And the judge goes, I don't really want to do that. And he said no. So I can't do anything about that. The judge just said no. So we couldn't probate the will despite the fact that legally everything was lined up, but the judge just didn't want to take the risk because he didn't want to deal with probating an out-of-state will. So that's another reason to always make sure everything's up to date and you've dealt with a professional, because you want to make sure all the boxes are checked, because judges are risk adverse also. They really don't want to get tied up in a lawsuit in court dealing with that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Next slide. All right.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about probate. So probate basically means prove up a will. So until you go through probate, all you have is an expensive piece of paper. Yep. So if you do not have a probated will, nobody has authority to do anything. Yeah. They're acting without authority.
And the thing is, your clients a lot of times will mislead you on that, not knowing. Right? They'll say, well, I'm the executor. I can sign the contract. I can do everything. Then we find out that it wasn't probated, so he's not the executor because he hasn't been appointed by a judge. They're not lying to you. They just don't understand that fact, right? They're just looking at the will and saying, well, Mom left me in charge, so I'll handle everything. No. Not until you've been appointed are you anything. And the reason is you have to go through a vetting process, right? You can't appoint your child as executor and then years later they become a drug addict and then you die and you don't want them to be the executor anymore, right? You may not have updated your will, but the judge will go, no, we're not going to have you dealing with the estate because we don't trust you to make those decisions. So there's a prove-up process, a vetting process to make sure they should be appointed. And then as far as the prove-up part, has anybody been involved in that? Has anybody had to go to court to do a probate for anybody, be a witness, anything? No? It's pretty it is pretty informal as far as legal proceedings go.
Yep.
So you're literally, all you're doing is you're going in front of the judge, and most of the time you're just standing there. I think in Collin County, I was sitting at a table with a judge who wasn't even wearing a robe. And you're just sitting there and so going, yeah, I knew him. Yes, that's his signature. Yes, these are his family. Yes, those are his kids. Knew him for 20 years. And then you're moving on. That's basically it. But that's really what you're doing. You're just proving that the will is in fact effective, right? It is in fact their will. That's what you're having to do. Because until the will's been proven to actually be their will, it's not anything. We can't take it as de facto their will. We have to prove up, yeah, that is their signature. Yeah, that is his wife. Yes, these are his kids. We have to prove those parts in court so the judge actually approves the will to be effective, to be used to actually transfer property.
Yes. So, on that note, filing a deed in the real property record, or filing a will in the deed or real property records, not good enough. Not a substitute for probate.
Mm-mm. No, and I got an argument with that about. That was like my first year of being an attorney. I got in an argument with somebody about that. They were like, "Well, I filed it of record." It's like, it doesn't do anything, and they were like, "Yes, it does." The clerk told me. It's like, no, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure. It was very new. I did the up talk. I was like, I don't think that's right. But yeah, until it's been probated, until it's been proven actually their will, nobody has authority. Nobody has the ability to sell anything, right? We can't rely on their authority. So what you do is you go in front of the judge approves everything, stamps everything, signs everything. Then you walk over to another part of the court. You get what's called letters testamentary. The letters then are proof from the judge, signed by the judge, saying, yeah, this guy, he has the authority to act as if he were the deceased person. Until that point, you don't have anything. So if you ever have to deal with a probate estate, if you go to the bank and you have a will and you go, look, mom left me the bank, they're going to tell you to leave until you come back with court paperwork. The will doesn't do anything until it's been probated, until it's actually been in front of a judge, approved, signed, authorities given, things like that. So that's what the probate process is, is making sure that we have the people appointed that need to be appointed.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what happens if someone dies without a will? So this is where it gets a little bit sticky, and it is very expensive.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
This is what we don't want to happen. So we're going to go over some examples. Okay, so for those of you who watch Modern Family, we know who these people are.
They're a little bit older now. I think it's been on the air for like 15 years, some 12 years, so they're a little bit older at this point. But
yeah. So let's assume in this example, Phil dies and he doesn't have a will. The house is obviously community property that he owns with his wife, and she survives him. And they only have 3 kids together from their marriage. So who owns the house and is entitled to proceeds at sale?
Mm-hmm. And this is one of the examples where common sense does win out, right?
Yeah.
If you're mom and dad, you have kids together, only one marriage, all that stuff, the wife ends up getting everything because it's presumed that when she dies, then the stuff goes to the kids, and everybody ends up being treated equally, right? So that makes sense. That's like one of the examples where it does make sense. But let's change one little thing and see how sideways things can get quick.
Yeah, so let's say in addition to the 3 kids, he has a child from a previous relationship with somebody else. Now who owns the house?
Not an uncommon situation, right? There's a lot of blended family. There's people that have gotten remarried, had a different kid, whatever the situation may be.
I will say I'm seeing this scenario more and more and more often than I see the previous one.
And the thing that burns people all the time is they'll say the same thing. They'll go, well, the wife gets the house. They bought it together. No. She retains her 50%. She gets her community property half, but his half, his estate, his share, gets split amongst the kids, right? And there's a few problems here I can show, right? Do you think he has the ability to sell a house? He's like 9. There's no way. You can't do that. And what did I say? The mom can't just sign on his behalf. That's what power of attorney is for. Guardianships are for. You can't just go ahead and say, well, I'm their parent. Let me sign this contract for them to get this auto loan. No, you have to get permission. You have to get specific court approval. So now you have to do all that. And then the other thing, how about him over there? Do you think his mom is cool? Do you think she's going to play along nicely with, just sign the house over to the mom. No, don't get anything from your father passing away. Just sign it all over. No big deal. Or is she saying, you know what, a quarter isn't enough? What if we got a half? I think we need some more money here. He hadn't been in your life. We haven't gotten what we need from him. We're not going to agree to anything. And that's where you end up getting in trouble, right? Because if you go to sell the house, you're going to need all these people to sign. And all it takes is one person saying no. I had an example one time where it was a situation where grandparents had passed away, but then below the grandparents, one of their children had passed away, and they had kids. And so we had like 7 people that had to sign to sell the house, right? Well, one person was like, no, I can't. I don't know what it is, but whatever their religious beliefs were, they couldn't sign a contract. They were not allowed to sign a contract. So no matter what, they wouldn't sign. They refused to sign anything, right? And so it held everything up, and we had to go to the court and get approval and get specific permission from the judge to take their one share and hold it aside and have everybody else be able to sell and this whole thing. But it ended up costing thousands of dollars that the family otherwise would have been able to avoid had they just had a will to avoid these situations. So if you're in a blended family situation, definitely make sure that you're prepared. Definitely make sure that you have a will, because it is not a thing where you just get the will or get the house when the other spouse passes away. That is not de facto how the rule works. You want to definitely be careful, because that's also not a fun phone call to make either, right? Because the other situation I see a lot of time is they're usually older, right? They're young in this example, but they're usually older, and she's getting ready to sell the house because she needs to go retire, move in with a kid. She needs that money for support. Well, when you find out you're getting half of the money you thought you were going to get to live on, to retire on, that's not a fun conversation to have to make with people. And again, that all could have been prevented by just having a will done.
Yeah. And in the previous example, her 100% isn't automatic. So there's things that you have to do in order to transfer husband's 50% over to her.
Yep, nothing transfers automatically. Always have to do something. So yeah, avoid this situation. Definitely get a will. If you have a blended family, that's when it's the most important. But there's also, like we said, there's all sorts of different situations where estate planning is necessary. It's not just for rich people. It's not something that just, you think, well, I don't have enough for it to be a big deal. It is a big deal a lot of times, because if you don't do something, if you don't prepare, then half the time your family is going to end up losing anything you are leaving to court fees and legal fees and other things. Whereas if you had just prepared ahead of time, it wouldn't be a situation. And it's also a big deal to make sure that whenever your clients are buying and selling houses, right, that's a pretty good time to make sure that they also have these things squared away. Because buying a house is a big life step for people, right? They need to make sure that asset is protected. So definitely look out to help them. Brittany's here to help them. She'll, like we said, do free consultations, sit down with people, make sure they're getting what they actually need and not getting anything extra for no reason. We're not here to upcharge you. We're not here to just take advantage and take more things. We just want to make sure people get what they need to honestly make the real estate transactions easier for us down the road, and just to make sure that people are taken care of, because we don't feel like you have to be nickel and dime to death to get these things done. But that's it. We're going to keep it short today, let you guys get on. I know it's still pretty busy out there. Right? All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Give him a big hand. Great job. Jeanette. Is Jeanette here? Come on up here a second. I just wanted to see, are interest rates pretty good right now?
They're amazing. Yeah, interest rates are really good. Not only for refinancing, for purchasing. There's a lot of clients that last year probably couldn't buy or didn't buy because they couldn't qualify for what they wanted to qualify. And I say this because I just refinanced somebody who purchased with me last year and saved them. It was an expensive house, but their mortgage went down $500. That's huge. Just think of how much more house they could have bought with interest rates today. So don't just worry about the today, worry about the people that you couldn't help last year, and call them. Go through your files and find somebody, and rates are phenomenal. So rates right now in 30 years are in your mid threes. So really, really good. I just locked a 3.625. Obviously, credit score, LTV, all of that plays into it. But 30 years are like 25-year mortgages now. So you can get the same payment, pretty much the same payment at 25 years. So you're saving them 5 years on your mortgage. There's so many ways that we can restructure a mortgage, but it's a great time to buy. It's also a great time to refinance. So the people that bought last year, I can guarantee you they got higher interest rates. And how good of a call would it be for you to just call them and say, hey, have you looked into rates? Because we're doing it, so you can do it and build care and concern that you're caring about their family and their finances.
Well, I know working with buyers out there right now, you need to tell them that the rates are really low, and the fact that now's the time to buy, even though prices have increased with the rates lowering and everything, it's a great time to buy. Like I tell all of you, this is my 50th year in real estate, and when I went into business, average priced home was $12,000. Okay, now it's 320 or 30,000. So is real estate a good investment? Absolutely. You know, if you hold on to it long enough, it's probably the best investment out there, home ownership. So you need to let those buyers know that the rates right now are as low as they might get lower. I don't know. I don't know how much lower they're going to get, but it's almost like you don't pay interest at all, and it does lower your payment overall. So be sure and get with your buyers and tell them now's the time to do it. Anything else you want to say?
Have them call hashtag JLoan.
Good. Thank you, Janet. Give her a big hand, okay? All right, anybody?
Yep.
Dave?
One more thing. How many people watch ESPN? A few. Have anybody seen one of our agents on ESPN? So we actually, Mr. Michael Avedon, we showed his interview. This is the actual commercial that he's in that's been running now for about 45 days.
Welcome to Who's More Relentless? We're here with our contestants, Michael Jr. and actual Century 21 agent, Michael Avedon. Here's the situation. It's an open house, clients are arriving, and the fountain isn't looking pretty. Ready, set, be relentless. The clock is ticking and the clients are almost here. On it! Well, it seems Century 21 agents are both relentless and sensible. Mike is obviously neither of those.
So anyway, congratulations to Michael. That was awesome.
Yeah, you know, there were several agents across the country that interviewed for this, and Michael's the one that won. And really a privilege to be able to have one of our agents on, you know, TV like that. So let's give Michael another big hand, okay? All right, anything else? Don't forget, we got the prospecting event here in the morning, starting at 9 o'clock, and I guarantee you're going to get some business, okay? So y'all have a great week. Thank you.